My grandpa offered me the greatest advice when I was younger, which is beware of the many, many people on stilts amongst the very few giants. Ladies and gentlemen, meet my friend, and I'm going to give her a better introduction, but Brooke Budke, someone I respect greatly. And again, I consider you a friend and mentor. How the hell are you today in Kansas City, Missouri?
Okay, I'm in Kansas, but honestly, I got teary-eyed.
Kansas City, Kansas. Wait a minute, are you in Kansas? Is it Kansas City, Kansas? Where are you?
There's both. There's Kansas and Missouri, Kansas City.
Are you in Kansas City, Kansas?
Yeah, technically. I'm not anywhere near Kansas City. I'm in the suburbs, but yes.
You have just come off some podcasts where there's probably a lot of professionalism going on. Don't you worry about this one. We're gonna get
But there was also script reading, and Casey Wandell just pulls the questions out of the cloud. So
wait, I'm sorry. It reminds me when I was in fourth grade and I was in a spelling bee and they asked me to spell failure. I didn't know that word, and I don't know the word script either. What is a script? How many people out of 100 would say Kansas City, Kansas? I'm defending myself for I guess you called it a mistake a second ago. How many people do you think would say, hey, from Kansas? I'm being honest. Like, hey, I'm from Kansas City. They go, oh, Kansas City, Kansas?
I would say 80% of people would say Kansas or Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, they would say
so
that.
80
because of the Chiefs and the Royals are technically Missouri entities. So I grew up, we were season ticket holders, George Brett's era. I have been number 5 my entire life because of George Brett.
Nice.
In fact, 5 is my word of the year for a number of reasons this year, based on my childhood obsession with George Brett and his fame at the Royals. I was at his very last game where he kissed the home plate, and I was crying because I was a phenomenal softball player at like 7 years old. So I grew up in the sport and I was obsessed with the Royals. We had season tickets, went all my life. And then I was at both World Series, and so I do love and I do love the Royals.
Brooke Budke, everybody. So again, what the Casey on Tap platform? We are now what? No big deal. We're in 5 countries now. Whoop-de-doo. We have 70 cities around this great land of ours. We are in the thousands of people listening, and every once in a while, you go fishing out there, folks, and you catch a marlin. Let's meet Brooke, shall we? Business consultant, board member, life coach, author, keynote speaker. You want me to stop? Sorry, there's more. Marketing expert and business executive. This woman, ladies and gentlemen, has a lot, and I mean a lot, to offer. So thank you very much for being with us today, Brooke. We greatly appreciate having you.
Well, Mr. Wandell, the pleasure is mine.
Let's start with the professional relationship you and I have. Paddle Boxing Club. Right? That's where you began. I'm looking at this beautiful website of yours, and we're talking about you are now a coach of franchises. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. So what she does is she helps not just individuals, but franchise brands grow. Okay. This is who they come to. I'm terrible at my job here as the host of this podcast. Of course, Momentum Brands is the name of the company she founded that helps propel these franchises. Please forgive me. Go ahead, Brooke.
It's okay. So if we are most qualified to help the people or person we used to be, today, I believe my gifts and time and talent and passion is helping young Brooklyn, BB, Brookie, who knew nothing about franchising, came into the space of an emerging franchise brand, who happened to sell 400 units in about 1.5 to 2 years' time, explosive growth, had 30-ish locations. Then within 90 days of me taking the job as the marketing director, became the fastest growing franchise in America, not just in fitness, in America, overnight. No brand guide, no resources, no budget, no team, no franchise leadership and experience inside of the brand. It was a concept founded by 2 founders who grew rapidly because people loved it. And that's always what happens in emerging franchise brands. You have a really good founder concept, really good culture, and there's something magic there that like je ne sais quoi, that's like, the pilot light, but they don't know how to scale. And what was nice was I wasn't the person who knew how to scale in franchising. That wasn't me. I was the person who was sought after to help with marketing. And because of my, I think, athleticism as a child, and that I'm an achiever, and my drive to succeed no matter the cost, even when there is no dollar to spend in terms of cost, I was able to like bootstrap this marginal brand into making it something really wonderful and phenomenal across the entire country with no dollars and no team and no resources, no brand guide, no marketing manual, no operations, no grand opening, nothing. And when I started, I was 30 years old. I signed the agreement. I don't know if you know this story, but I signed my employment agreement on my 30th birthday. And you know, I'm a serial optimist achiever, been that way my whole life. When I turned 29, I was working in the direct sales industry. I knew that I was gifted at brand and strategy and copywriting and design, but I had cancer at 21. So I always was involved with fitness and wellness. And I thought to myself, if I could just apply everything I know in brand to fitness, that would be my dream job. I want to work for Nike. So I have my vision board, I have my affirmations, and I am saying, I'm going to be the director of marketing of a major fitness brand by the time I turn 30. And this is my belief system for an entire year. And I also just cast the vision. I set the dream. I write everything down. I don't just like will it in my mind, but I always write it into physical space. And then I just kept living my life. It's July of my year. I was turning 30. I get this phone call. Hey, would you be interested in meeting with Title Boxing Club? And I thought, boxing? No.
Is that right?
It's not for me. I mean, I don't want to get punched in the face. Mm. And what's fascinating is that was still our top objective we had to overcome in probably the first 5 years, because nobody knew the brand. Nobody knew this product was fitness, not fighting, et cetera. And so then I met the CEO, CFO, and COO at a Panera in Overland Park. They were like, you're perfect
Tom?
for the job.
At the time, was it Tom?
It was John and Rick and Mike.
Okay, so it was John at the time. Okay.
Yeah. And they were like, you're the perfect person for the job. And I ended up taking it and leaving a brand which had 300 employees. We had 33,000 independent representatives in 5 countries. I was on the brand team. Like, it was a huge business I was leaving. And it was an amazing culture. You know,
Can you
going
say the name
to,
or no?
Yeah, it was called Silpada Designs. It was a direct sales sterling silver jewelry company, one of the biggest in the world. It was a party plan company. And they later exited for $685 million to Avon. And it was just a phenomenal business to learn from and grow in. And so I applied everything I knew with like the big brand mentality. But direct sales is just like franchising. They just have a $179 startup kit in a small business. Franchising has $500,000 invested early on. And, you know, brick and mortar, it's just bigger buy-in, but same mentality. So I applied everything I knew to Title, and I figured out 90% of my job by failing every single day. And I think the number one reason I was successful at what I did, and arguably 50% of the franchisees would not think I was successful, right? Like, there's always opinions and leadership. But I think that I was successful in taking the brand from 30 to 200 units because I didn't quit ever. No matter what the critics were saying, no matter what the consumer was saying, no matter what the sales were saying. And I always believed there was another way. And if there was another way, to send me and I'll go find it. And I just believed in the brand with everything that I was and am in my core, not just in my marketing intelligence, but I believed in what was possible. And I put that into it every single day. I met you along the way and so many phenomenal franchisees, but we sold it the last day of the year of 2020 during COVID. The new company named me president. You were the very first person that I called.
I remember.
And I also became pregnant the same month that we sold the business. I was
that had
going
nothing
through
to do
that.
with her call to me, folks, just to be very clear.
No, it did not.
My personality it's not that powerful, okay?
I had worked my entire career on breaking the glass ceiling. I knew when I was 30, I wanted to be a director of marketing and fitness brand. I knew by the time I was 40, I wanted to be the president of Title Boxing Club. I believed in what I could do and transform the brand and take it from 200 to 2,000 was like meant for me. I was the core target demographic. I knew her because I was her. I knew how to, there were other things, you know, like that happens in franchise brands with growth, but I just believed with certainty, like in my ability to shape the brand. God is a hilarious thing. Human being, that's what I was going to say, a human being and God. Mm-hmm. And he sent me my top two dreams I've ever cast, which was becoming a mother and achieving and breaking the glass ceiling of being a female brand president in a male dominated industry in the exact same month. the very actual day I was in labor, I got a text message from somebody that said, "Hey, are you consulting? I have somebody in mind for you." And I was like, "Could you give me a week? I'm having my child today." And here I was terrified to walk through the door of uncertainty, knowing that I was leaving the thing that I had built and was so proud of. And then on the other side of it was the greatest miracle I've ever produced in my life with my son. And then this business that has transformed every part of me.
Is his middle name Rose? I mean, come on.
It's Luke for a number of other miracle reasons.
First of all, Axel is an awesome name. Don't misunderstand.
It is.
But there's only one Axel. And it's okay. Like he clearly was influenced by that. Why not go the full way? Why not go Axel? Because Rose, that's a pretty cool name. And it's probably not his real name. It's a stage name. Axel Rose Luke Budke. That's what I'm going to refer to him as. When he was crowning and you were, dilating and going to labor and your friend says, "Hey, are you consulting?" Was it her saying that to you that planted that seed that you're like, wait a minute, once Axel Rose Luke comes out, I think consulting will be the path I'll take?
It's a great question. I had a Kansas City based client in the Department of Defense. She was an entrepreneur and I was consulting, like leadership style consulting and marketing and helping her strategize her business. And I had been doing that, that summer, that year. And so I knew that I was going to consult, and I didn't think I was going to do franchising because I needed a little break from franchising. And I'm like, I'm going to do other brands and other industries because everybody needs marketing strategy. What I quickly found was the scalability and franchising is a brilliant model for me because every franchise brand needs the exact same thing. They just need them in different orders. And I did take another client that was not in franchising, and it wasn't a fit because it was a little bit wild, wild west. Like it was hard to lead them and direct them on knowing exactly what they needed. Like I knew what they needed, but they weren't in that model. So there wasn't like the belief system from the leadership team. So then I just pivoted into franchising, and now in 3 years we've had 15 brands. We just started another one, 16 on Monday. We have 4 active clients that I'm the fractional CMO for, and I have a brand director who's freaking phenomenal. She's the highlight of my little life over here.
Oh yeah. And is that your the assistant,
she is the brand director.
The brand director, not my she's assistant. The Dwight Schrute. She's the assistant to the assistant regional manager. You're the Michael Scott. She's the Dwight. Actually, I'd be the Dwight Schrute. No, I feel like I'd be Jim. Super cool. Always have the answer.
She's the Jim. You're the Jim. Dwight.
I'm the Dwight. Hey, Dwight. Hey, that's fine. I'll take Dwight. Dwight got it done.
Every person on my team, Laura, Taryn, and Hallie, when I left, I said, "I will come back for you." I remember when I finally realized I had something here, was a year into it with momentum, and I called Hallie and I said, "I'm going to ask you something crazy, and I want you to leave your job and come work for me at my kitchen table."
Okay, so you were Michael. She was Pam when he started the Michael Scott Paper Company.
I love Pam too.
Yeah, Pam went to his condo and started. Okay, so there you go.
Yep, and she was at an ad agency and had great skills after, because she went somewhere else after Title, and then she was like, I actually have been really seeking a change in a different direction in my life. And I remember she said, like, how many vacation days will I get? I was like, as many as you want. And she was like,
priorities. I like that.
Yeah. But you know what it taught me too, Liz? I was like, listen, once you step outside of corporate culture, you realize how locked in jail you were. And you counted your PTO days, and you took 30-minute lunch breaks, and you missed family events, and the expectation was extremely high, and you gave immense value and you got very little back. Like that's just corporate culture. And then once you step on the outside of it, you realize life will never be the same again. And I told her, I said, you can have as many as you want. She said, why would you do that for me? And it's like, because you are going to do a lot for me. And we have a partnership today where she is my family, and soul family, is the term that we use, where we were meant to live this life of entrepreneurship together. And I think, where one or two are gathered, the work multiplies significantly. And my life transformed when she started working for me. I think hers did when we started working together. The brands that we have impacted, it is so much fun. And to not do it alone, I believe God is also calling me into that, to where it's not like I've not ever been a soloist. Like I've always really loved team and people and lifting people up. And so that's just part of what I need in the culture of my existence. So it's her and I, thick as thieves, together against the world. And the franchising world is archaic, and it is the same everywhere with the same ideas. And we are two little spark plugs saying what else could be true. And honestly, people are knocking on our door saying, I want to know what's behind it. And could you help me? And it's true. Yeah.
I love that. Brooke Budke is a giant. Doesn't matter if she's a woman, man. She's talking about breaking the glass ceiling. The one thing I take pride in is my ability to read the giants and people in respect. And respect is earned. Respect is not commanded. So many people yell and scream. They think their money and their status and all this happy horse shit makes no. She commanded respect. She built this Title Boxing Club franchise. We're talking about 20, 30 units, expanding into 200 units across the country. I can only imagine how that prepared you for Momentum Brands. And I'm looking at this. By the way, your website is just, come on. It's exquisite.
I'm a brand strategist. I know how to cast the vision of what it is that I'm trying to achieve. I believe I'm a lifestyle brand.
You are. It's beautiful.
And
I'm not making fun at all. It's perfect.
No, the reason why I did not want like crazy business pictures is because it is very boring, and that is not the life that I live. The life that I live is authentic and different. And so even as a fractional CMO and consultant, like sometimes I'll wear a ball cap to the conversation. Other times I'll be in workout clothes. Other times I'll be in podcast mode. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a founder. I'm wearing a lot of hats. So are the people that I'm consulting. They're not in suits.
Well, I was, but then you were 10 minutes late, so I took it off.
Jeez almighty. And I always thought you were funny. Did earn my respect was when you started being honest and having different conversations other than trying to make me laugh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to, I don't know what that means.
This will be my podcast and I'll start interviewing you. No,
you
would joke in the hallways all the time. Oh yeah, my 3 or 4 ex-wives. And I remember asking someone like, how many times has this guy been married? And they was like, I don't know, once. And I'm like, what stories is he trying to tell? Because you have a self-deprecating humor.
That's right. It's true.
But the time that I actually really got to know you was when you took the team out for sushi, when we came to visit all of the locations. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you also started, because I don't know if I knew that you were sober. And then I did then, like you kind of shared part of your story then. And we started using you in a speaker capacity to come back and speak to Discovery Day or franchise training, because it does help when somebody's been there and done that. When I started to actually get to know you, I realized that I saw the giant in you versus the jokester. And I don't think you let everybody see that all the time. No. Yeah. So I got to see it, which was good. And then I knew you for different. And then once I knew you for different, I just had different conversations.
Yeah, it's true. There's going to be a lot of people around the Cleveland area that will really appreciate that story you just told, because in classes, it's up to, sometimes I'll say, just today I was at a store and I said, my 9 ex-wives used to say that to me. And I do have a very self-deprecating humor. I know I've got the larger than life personality. That's it's either it's an acquired taste. You either like it or you don't. I get that. However, it is interesting because you are one of the people that I have over time really actually let in to who that. But that's that's the thing. Even right now, it doesn't make me. I don't want to use the word uncomfortable. There's a level of pride. I mean, I like that someone like you. God forbid, let's say tomorrow you had eulogize or whatever, and there'd be a room full of people. You can say, no, actually, there's a lot more to this person. Coming from you, it means a lot.
I think the difference is that I see you. I know you because I see you different than how you project yourself.
Well, I don't want to project myself as too much of,
You don't. You're funny. You're entertaining. You're life of the party. You're a rebel. Like you're always a wild card. Like you're always going to do something different than what other people are. That's just part of who you are.
Yeah.
But I also see the part that's not the performer.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the real me. My social life, for example, which by the way, it's challenging when you don't drink. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yep.
But I, I spent time with some people and they're like, it's almost like, I don't know if they're disappointed or if they're like, they don't believe that I'm actually an articulate, thoughtful, emotionally intelligent human being that wants to connect with another human, like deeply. Here we are now. And I mean, you are a true leader of humans, not a leader of women, not a leader of men, children, elderly. You're a leader of human beings. And I'm incredibly attracted to leaders of humans. It's just not, a lot of people talk a big game, but I mean, just, you have so much to offer. Seasoned consultant, more than 20 years of professional executive experience. Her coaching style is direct, infused with energy, challenging her clients to generate results and increase personal drive. Having mastered the art of blending family and work, she brings a warm and vibrant presence to every meeting, sharing tips of empowerment and growth. Oftentimes you see these little blurbs about people that and you think, who the hell wrote that? That perfectly describes you. Perfectly describes you.
Thank you. Mastering the art of family and professionalism and life is an all-day thing every day. It's not ever anything you can really get to. There's no master level of which you're like, done, I've done it all. I'm here, I've arrived. And I'll give a quick story. This morning,
No,
my son is in a half day of preschool, 2 days a week.
Axel Rose Luke.
Yeah. And so I take him and I am working. I have my own business and it is my number one priority to drive him to school and pick him up from school.
Love that.
And so I do not take meetings on Mondays and Wednesday mornings until noon because I know that I'm going to take him to school. I'm going to be present. I'm not going to be on the phone. I'm going to ask him about his day on the way home. And so I go and I sit at a coffee shop while he is at school and I get all of my etc. work done, the work that doesn't require me to be on and in front of a camera and with someone and speaking to somebody and consulting someone, working on the business. Mondays and Wednesdays for 2.5 hours while he's at school. I go and I pick him up. So I'm mom when I pick him up. I'm boss in between. I'm mom when I take him. This morning, within 10 minutes of me walking out the door, if we do not leave at 8, we will not be there by 8:25. You will be late. And I'm not somebody that shows up late. And I'm not going to allow my kid to show up late and start that habit at 3 years old. 10 minutes before I walk out the door, my husband says, oh, I need the big Yukon today. And we have an issue with one of our cars and we have a dealer car and there's no car seat in it. And I wanted to come unglued and throw the refrigerator at him. And instead, I said, I need you to get him ready, to take him potty, to get his shoes and socks on, to do his hair, to do all the things. It takes like 30 minutes to do that on a 3-year-old, by the way, because he's like, where's Sonic? Where's Dr. Robotnik? At the, in the middle of all of it. And I went outside and I have a 7 Series BMW insane vehicle in my garage right now because they gave her a dealer car while they're working on another car. Whatever. It's a long story. I don't know how to use it is the point. I don't know where the car seat clips are. I don't know where the attachments are. And it takes 30 minutes to install a car seat correctly. I have 10 minutes to get it done.
Right.
And to manage my state because I also want to be a raging bee on the way to school to my son because I'm now mad at my husband because he didn't tell me in advance that I put the car seat in. So you have choices to make every minute of the day.
I want you to expand on that. I love how you just said that. She has to manage her state, meaning your emotional state.
Yes.
Just speak on that, please.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yep.
So in the moments that are the toughest, it is easy to be kind at a birthday party. It is easy to be kind and wonderful on a Friday. It is not easy and kind to be in a pinch with 10 minutes time on a Wednesday morning when you have all of this pressure on you to get your kid to school, to uphold the standards, to be a good mom, to be a good steward, to call your employee on the way, to do the things you need to do. It is not easy. It is in the moments that are not easy that you have to make the decisions of how you do anything that tells you how you do everything.
Who are your role models or role model? And how have they influenced you as a person and your leadership style?
My grandma today is the most influential person I have ever known and
Powerful.
potentially would ever know in my life. And she was a very small, petite woman with low self-esteem, but very, very, very certain of what my capabilities were.
Interesting.
And she would speak life into me, and she would always say, I could never do what you do, Brooke. Wow. And it just made me feel like the smallest things I did were really important and mattered and was going to make a difference. I would tell you, John Rachi was one of the most pivotal people in my career. And I do not have we don't have an active relationship today. He groomed me in franchising in a way that he opened so many doors and connections for me today that I still use and honor 90% of the relationships of the people that he introduced me to. And the franchising world is very political and it is very insightful, but you really do need to know some influential people to meet the right vendors, partners, connections, get preferred pricing. Like it's a big machine. There are 800,000 franchise brands with 300 new entering the space every year. So to really be a leader in the game, I was introduced, my name was spoken in rooms that I was never in. And I would tell you today, I was on a meeting with someone who was like, oh, I know John Rachi and David Barr. And those are two gentlemen in the space that, gave me a master's degree in franchising. That was not something I had to pay for. One of my favorite questions to ask is what else could be true? Somebody's opinion of a person or a thing or an incident or a cancer or a divorce or alcoholism. If you ask the question, what else could be true or truer than the thoughts you're locked in on, your brain will then give you a new catalog of thoughts that will show you proof on the other side. And it's something that I've doing active work on my own life and skills and belief systems regularly for probably the past 15 years. My relationships with my parents, to my relationships with my bosses, to my relationships with my husband, to my children, to my stepchildren. Because what I learned early in my life was I am an achiever and I am driven by being the person who is sent to do the hard work. And in that, there's a lot of flaw too, because then I have the tendency to have performance driven love versus loving me for who I am. So even like in my ability to perform for my coaches as a student athlete, for my parents in high school and never doing anything wrong and being the best at everything I did, to my bosses and being the person they called in the middle of the night that said, we have a problem. And I'm like, I'm so glad you called me because I will figure it out. But then I'm also like too thin, because I'm like burning the candle at both ends. And it's part of that achiever mindset. But in general, I would say some of the people that have been the biggest influences in my life are not active parts of my life today. And it's not based on that they no longer served me, like that I didn't need a relationship, like my grandma passed, or like I used to work for John and then he's now doing other things in his business, or like
what about Tony Robbins?
My best friend is my brother, and he has been like my sidekick, my Batman and Robin my whole life. Tony Robbins, I have been to 6 of his live events. I have worked with one of his results coaches she told me the other day, we've had 77 calls over like 7 years.
That's awesome. Incredible.
Yeah, we've had, my top 2 needs in life are growth and love and connection. For me, growth is higher than love and connection because growth fills my personal cup and allows me to connect and have loving relationships with people as my top.
Tell the audience, give them the needs. Give them the needs. I love this.
Yes. So the top 6 human needs that everybody has, and they have them in different order, is the need for certainty, the need for variety, love and connection, significance, contribution, and growth. And contribution and growth are the needs of the spirit. They are the needs, when you are tapped into those, will fulfill you in an infinite sum. The need for certainty, significance, variety. It is tough to ever fill your cup in those categories. Love and connection, you can, but you must fill your own first by meeting your own needs first, so then you can pour into and develop good love and connection and relationships with people. Most people desire love and they settle for connection also, because
Well said.
So it is knowing which of the top 2 needs you have will tell you the direction your life is going to go, and knowing who you are speaking with and
There's
what
some
their
sort of
needs
quiz
are.
you can take online, like kind of like the
I'm
love
sure.
languages. You know what I
I'm
mean?
sure
I'm being
Tony.
serious.
Yeah. No, I would go to Tony Robbins, his research organization's website, and I'm sure they have a quiz.
Very powerful stuff right there.
It
for
is.
Sure.
It is. And if you know them and you're in business or sales, or you have a business, I would absolutely understand what your target audience's needs are and know what they are so you can solve them.
What is one thing you would change about your leadership style, and why? We've only got 5 minutes, young lady. I've got like 20 more.
I would put my phone down when I'm speaking to my son, and if he is ever in the room, I would never have my phone in my hand.
How do you handle failure? And what lessons have you learned from your biggest failures?
I fail every single day. And I believe that I am successful because I fail every single day, and I get up and I say, today's going to be a better day than yesterday. And I will make every single instance that's happened that has meant and been sent to me to cause harm to be the betterment for me over the course of years to come.
How do you ensure that your values align with your leadership style?
I know that I value growth, love, and connection. And I know that I value freedom, and that I value really good people. And I made a decision when I started my business that I will never work with an asshole again, and somebody that does not respect me, and somebody that I do not like. And I am a quick read on people, and I'm very intuitive. And I have met with 50 brands, and I have only selected 4.
How do you balance the need for results with the well-being of that team that you talked about loving so much?
Personal lives come first, work comes second. And when you prioritize it that way, the work will always get done, and it will be better than if you make work be number 1.
Final question, most important question. Where does your experience with the Casey on Tap podcast rank amongst all podcast experiences?
I have been on this one podcast called Franchise Secrets 3 times, and it has opened so many doors for me with emerging franchise brand leaders because they have a list of 10,000 subscribers, and I adore being on that podcast. Now that's for business. In life, top podcast I have been on, Casey Wandel's, mainly because
hey, right here. Give me a high five.
High five.
Boom.
Yep. Mainly because I will support you and push you and challenge you, and I want to make the world a better place, and your platform is absolutely prime for that because I've watched you teach classes, I've taken your classes, and what you pour into a 45-minute workout is insane what somebody will walk out with, and it is absolutely the best hour of their day. And so if somebody's listening to this for 30 minutes, or 45 minutes, or every episode of yours, I can promise you they will laugh, they will cry, they will get nuggets of life and wisdom based on who you select to be on it. Mm-hmm. So thank you for having me on it.
Will you return?
You're going to say, will you marry me? I don't know why. I thought you were
well, you do know why, because you kind of, who doesn't want to marry the kid? Okay, let's be honest. Hey, I'm always looking for the 10th ex-wife, okay? Brooke, I'm always looking for number 10, sweetheart. Listen, I thank you for being here today. I really, really would like to have you on, even if it's just for little tidbits. I'd like to have you on.
Regular, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
there's so many topics we haven't hit on.
Okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fantastic conversation. Send your questions, the mailbag questions, in hashtag PervNation. You know, Brooke, you probably haven't listened to these. There's a whole, I know you haven't. My sister has, there's a certain segment that my sister has deemed hashtag Perv Island because they send questions. Anyway, the point is this, the pervs stay away. Brooke Budke, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, young lady. And I'm going to tell you something. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and God bless you. And folks, BrookeBudke.com, MomentumBrands.com. Go ahead, give your plugs.
TheMomentumBrands.com. And start there. I mean, you can go to Brooke Budke, but our business, my brand is TheMomentumBrands.com. And follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I share lots of content there. And be kind to Casey because he's really a nice man underneath all of the jokes.
Be kind to Casey. What painting do you want? What painting do you want?
Your screen has been blurry this entire time. I cannot see anything behind you. I can barely see your face.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll send you some pictures of the painting. Get your mind, folks, get your mind out of the damn gutter. Pictures of these paintings. Golly, Brooke, it has been a joy. It's been what a great hour. And God bless you. Thank you so much. And we will talk soon. Okay, sweetheart?
Bye, Casey. Thank you.
Brooke Budke, everybody.